The other upgrade we made was using this Carter stabilizer. It's a pretty cool deal. We'll see if it works. Basically, you don't use any guides. It replaces all the guides, so I don't have any of them hooked up right now. Try and bounce the camera around and pan, but I'm not using this the rear thrust bearing. I don't even have this stabilizer actually replaces the factory stabilizer that is supposed to go on the top. This would go in there, and you'd have blocks that go in here, and I'm not a huge fan of the block thing. I sure as heck wasn't going to use the factory ones from 1935. I still may have to use this, and if I do, I'll get cool blocks or ceramic, one of the two, something. And on the bottom, can't really see it too well. I can drop the camera a little bit so I can get a shot of it. Using a GoPro, which is not the greatest thing ever when you're trying to shoot things. But so again, here's the rear or the bottom stabilizer. It would this thing would come up and wrap around the blade, and there would be blocks that go in here. But I've actually just moved it out of the way. I'm not using it, and I didn't buy blocks replacements for it because I'm hoping that stabilizer will do what I want. And then there's the thrust bearing for the rear, but I'm not using any of those things. I'm just using the Carter stabilizer, which the way it's supposed to work is that's good. The way it's supposed to work is you zoom around here. Oh, that sucks. There goes the paint job. Anyway, the way this stabilizer works, it's got a groove that the blade fits into, and what you're supposed to do is pressure load it. I think about an 1/8 inch. I'm gonna have to read the directions again on that, but you want to. It's going to be running. That bearing's going to be running the whole time. But the blade isn't allowed to move, but it is allowed to flex. And so the idea is you don't need to have all these blocks if you're running like a small blade and you're doing curves. It actually allows the blade to get wider or tighter curves, I should say, than you would if you had the thing stabilized with all the guides. Technically there's less wear, and I don't know, Carter says that it's a better way to do it, so I don't know, we'll see. I'm just hoping that this one thing will replace all the guides so I don't have to buy blocks. And the other thing is, you don't want to do this with, you're not going to use this for resawing and straight line stuff so much. The reason I wanted this bandsaw was I got an 18-inch that can do resawing, and I'll put my 1-inch carbide tip blade on that thing, and it'll handle all the resawing I ever wanted. And straight line, you know, straight cuts and stuff like that, it'll do that a lot better. This I wanted for the smaller stuff and curves. Problem was, I never wanted to change the blade out on that 18-inch bandsaw because, you know, changing the blades is kind of a pain, especially if you just need to make a quick round or, you know, circular cut. So what I opted for instead was I put a 1/2-inch blade in there. I resawed with it and did everything because I'm too lazy to change the blades out. So I knew that wasn't the best way to do it, and I went through a lot of blades doing that. So this 14-inch is going to be perfect for curve cuts and the smaller, tighter work. I'm going to get rid of this blade. I'll probably put a 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch blade, something like that, on here. And this is meant to work with up to. The Carter stabilizer is meant to work with, I think, up to like a 1/4 inch blade, which is exactly what I wanted on. I wasn't going any higher on this one. If you're gonna put a thicker blade on, you're gonna want all the blocks and, you know, better stabilizers. Okay, so you just want to pull this back. You can see it's not touching the blade. Let me get that a little bit. So you want to bring it up to where it touches the blade, it engages the back, and then they tell you to spring load it about an 1/8 of an inch or so, but it's all kind of relative to how tight your tension is. So I'm just going to give it a little push. I don't know, I didn't measure that. Like I said, I'd rather see how this works, but the problem is you don't want it to be able to come out, which I think I'm actually going to give it a little bit more. There. When you pull your piece of wood, your workpiece back, if you're cutting curves and you pull the piece back, you don't want this thing to jump the track. That's the whole idea of preloading this thing. So I gave it just a little tug. It's, you know, it takes a little pressure to get it out of there. I'm hoping that this works pretty well, but once I start cutting some wood, we'll see how it actually, if I have any problems, if I need to do more or what.